Yo, still bills. What's the deal, man? We back, man. Listen, man. I need a haircut, man. I need a haircut, straight up and down, man. I got a haircut in like late November before we went to LA, and how that, I like the length of my hair that way, man. I thought that was pretty smooth. It's time to get rid of this, this too. this shit is just getting too unmanageable and uncontrollable, man. But big game, man. That's neither here nor there. I want to talk about something, and that's this Deontay Wilder interview that he did with Simon Jordan or whatever, man. Man, listen, man. This how I'm feeling about it. Him saying a lot of the shit that he said is a reason as to why we don't get the type of, not appreciation, but people are really standoffish when it comes to us as far as our place in politics from a social stance as it pertains to race relations, man. Everything isn't white supremacy. Everything isn't white privilege. A lot of times you look really foolish and it's buffoonery for you to say a lot of the shit that you're saying. Because it gets to a level of ridiculousness where it's like, all right, bro, this is why motherfuckers laugh at it. You're pulling the race card. They always revert to that. And it's just like, y'all can't find every nook and cranny to attach racism and white privilege and white supremacy to. That was real ridiculous. I spoke on this before, but for you to sit here and tell, I don't know who it was, but for you to sit there and tell that guy, Jack Reese, not counting Tyson Fury out, that was due to white supremacy. It's laughable. And why is it laughable? Because he afforded Willie Monroe that same opportunity that he gave Tyson Fury. And at last time I checked, Willie Monroe was a part of the Brethren. Willie Monroe got battered by Golovkin. And in the process of him getting battered, he got knocked down a multitude of times. And on the last time he got up, Jack Reese was at 9. And he was still on his knees. And just as he was about to say 10 and flashed the number 10 with his hands, he stood up. And Jack Reese was like, I almost counted you out. Do you want to continue or not? And what did he say? I'm done. I'm done. But, people play these Jedi mind tricks to where it's like, you don't want to be, ostracized for, man, you gave up. You know what I'm saying? You punked the game. You weak. How you wasn't trying to fight. No, they don't want to go through that, being eviscerated publicly. So they'll go through the theatrics of, oh man, why you count me out? People do that shit all the time. It's only so many amount of people who get counted out in the fight that are really in their feelings that they got counted out of a fight. Zab Judah being one of them. That nigga was in his feelings when Costa Zoo did that shit to him. He was in his feelings. And and a lot of times it's people who get counted out, they just, they frustrated, but they won't go to the extremities that Zab Judah went to. So Willie Monroe he had it made up in his mind, I'm going to go through all them theatrics if he counts me out. And when he gave him the choice, do you want to continue or not? What did he say? I'm done. All right, cool. We go about our business. Golovkin was a demon at that time, bro. I understand it. So how do you how do you chump that up to white supremacy when he gave that same opportunity for a brother long before you even came into prominence? It's laughable, man. It's laughable. It's cringy. I'm not taking a shot at his ideology as far as nationalism and politics, and sociopolitics as it pertains to us as a people, because we're still in a fight against a beast that just seems to be untamable. But you have to have the critical thinking skills and the maturity to understand that everything isn't relegated to just race relations. You have to be, at some point you got to say, all right, my nigga, like, for real, that's childish, man. And I'll never forget, man, arguing with people that felt Tim Tszyu could beat Jermell Charlo. They thought that's racist. That's racism. I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? When you attach certain titles to people, and I'm of the mindset that, I'm not one of them, all white peoples ain't bad. I ain't that type of nigga. Even though I feel like that. That's just a fact. I'm not about to sit here and, we about the good white girl. I need to go me some good white. I'm not that nigga. Cause that, that's buffoonery right there. That's cooning. I'll never be that nigga. That's some sucker shit. I don't have to say it to know that. Hell no, there's some dope white folks out here. I'm in tune with plenty of them. But I ain't about to be that step and fetch, buck dancing ass nigga. Ooh, the goof. I'm not doing that. I see your deeds. I see your virtue. And for that I salute. And I'm going to be the first to defend you if someone get on some dumb shit with you. But I ain't think, yo, what the good white folks say, you mess up. I'm not that guy. I'll never be that guy. So I'm not mad at his sentiment, man. I like the unification and solidarity that we're, experiencing and witnessing amongst our people as it pertains, even with this ICE situation. My wife is a Mexican and Guatemalan Spanish-speaking mestizo. She has a very small circle of friends, her relos, her sisters and everything, her brothers. With that, all right, yeah, I'm definitely coming to arms on behalf of them, but that's my personal. That's immediately indicative to my personal situation. You dig what I'm saying? It's not necessarily my politics. It's a difference between the two of them. And even with that, I'm very, sympathetic towards what these immigrants are experiencing. Because let's be real, it's not like it's the Ukrainians that are, that are in the scope of these ICE agents. It's by and large Mexican and Central Americans. By and large, Mexican and Central Americans. You dig? They're the focal point on this attack. And so they're the ones that's being ostracized and subjugated more so than any and everybody. And my heart goes out to them. It does. But I'm like, I can't pick up the drum and toe the line for you. I can't be that guy. But I'm also not going to denigrate anybody who just feels, yo, man, I think this is very inhumane treatment of people. Because we're all people. We're all, we're flesh and bone at the end of the day. So I would never tell no black man, say your ass at home. Why you going over there? They don't reciprocate that notion, whatever. That's neither here nor there. Some people just cannot turn a blind eye to mistreatment. And all I'm asking, if you're going to do that, do it smart. Be smart. Don't be extra'd out. There's ways that you can protest, because this isn't our fight. This isn't our struggle. There's ways that you can protest. Protest in a manner to where your presence is still being felt, but not to the point where it could cost you your life, because you still have family to get home to. 9 times out of 10, you at the very least got kids. So you have to be sensitive of their needs, of needing to see you walk through the door for the next 40, 50, 60, 70 years. Don't deny them that opportunity because you want to go and fight somebody else's fight. But I'm not about to sit here and denigrate anybody who decides that they have to go fight that fight. I'm not mad at it. But what I'm saying that it just won't be me. And I see that a lot of the demographic, they're sharing in that sentiment. So I love it. I love to see the unification. I love the solidarity, the codification of black people abroad, politically and socially, because we lay politically and socially dormant as far as consciousness goes for decades. So to see a resurgence in this manner, it's a beautiful thing. So I'm not throwing shots at Deontay Wilder and his ideology. I'm throwing shots at Deontay Wilder and his immaturity when speaking on certain issues as it pertains to what happened to him in a boxing ring. And him not being willing to accept the fact that you lost to the better man. Tyson Fury did not need to cheat to beat you, bro. No. You've lost to people who aren't as good as Tyson Fury. That's just a fact. So why does him, of all people, need to put egg weights at the bottom of his glove to get a competitive advantage over you? And as I've stated before, this isn't us, trying to show Tyson Fury under a light of being, this angelic being, because he's not. He's a piece of shit ass dude. But am I about to go out on a limb and say that he got, that he cheated Deontay Wilder? No, I'm not. I'm just not. And it also doesn't help that he was connected to Daniel Kinahan. That shit doesn't help neither, because people are trying to find a way to crowbar the fact that because he did what he did over in Ireland, that he's complicit in Tyson Fury cheating. And it's just it's really ridiculous to me, man. So I think that was childish. I think it was not even knee-jerk reaction. I think this is him throwing a tantrum because the nigga can't accept the fact that nobody is believing him. There's no way you're going to sit here and tell us that you have evidence, and you sat on evidence for over 5 years of this dude trying to kill you in the ring, and you're waiting until your documentary comes out for you to, present the evidence, when this is a lawsuit we talking about. You ain't have no problem with filing that lawsuit for that breach of contract. why would you not present this shit right here? Because you know this shit is nothing tangible about what it is that you're saying. It's laughable. And you look like a fool. You look like an utter fool. You honestly do. It's silly. It's silly. So I think it's childish, and it's not, you know, just you're boisterous. Any other time you beat the drum. No, but you beating the drum up here in America that you were robbed, you were cheated. You're doing that shit just unapologetically up here in America. But the minute you get over there to British soil, you don't want to talk about it no more. That ain't by accident, gang. That ain't by accident. You know for a fact, yo, no, your ass is over here, bet. We finna have us an honest conversation. Now, speaking in favor of Deontay Wilder, I think that shit was really, it was disrespectful for Simon Jordan to do that. I think, you have to respect these athletes, because at the end, it's an interview. I do not know these dudes' name, but it was a quarterback, and this had to be from like the late 90s or the early 2000s, man. It was a quarterback who just kept getting disrespected by this one particular journalist, and he was working for ESPN. Or he was working for some sports outlet, and he would disrespect this dude by calling him out of his name. And he did it again, and the dude told him, man, listen, if you call me that again, we can take a commercial break right now, but if you call me that again, we're going to have a problem. He said, I bet you won't call me that again. I bet you I will call you that. All right, cool. And he called him it again, and it turned into a problem. And when you look at this little twerp, the motherfucker, you're like, this dude ain't been in no fight before. He ain't never been hit in his face. He's never been, he's used to, this freedom of speech shit. And because of that, you can do whatever it is. You can say whatever the fuck it is you want to say. Yeah, there's a freedom of speech, but there's not a freedom of consequence. So when someone go across your jaw, yeah, you can sue them. But if someone go across your jaw and shatter your shit, you got weeks of eating through a fucking straw. You ain't gonna be able to eat what it is that you enjoy eating. Because your jaw is, is fractured. It can't chew. So why intentionally antagonize somebody that you ain't ready to deal with physically? That's my biggest thing. Why antagonize somebody, when you're not ready to do with anything with them physically? You don't even, your instincts ain't even gonna kick in when someone getting on that extra shit with you. That your instincts ain't gonna kick in. When someone is real life on that with you, like, nah, man, I'm about to do this and that and the third to you, you're gonna sit there with that dumbass look on your face because you think that, they're somehow immoral. If while you're sitting there, verbally assaulting them, you're somehow immoral if you act on your impulses, which is the attack. And that's just not how it goes, man. People were being killed over saying certain shit to certain people. So why is it that because you're a journalist, you just think that you have autonomy to say whatever the fuck it is you want to say, and I'm just supposed to wear that shit, answer the question, and yada? Nah, bro, you're triggering. And if I'm telling you I don't want to talk about that shit, at what point do you respect the athlete and say, all right, cool? So I do think that was some buster shit on his behalf. I honestly do. I do. If someone is asking you, not because just now you have to wrestle with the fact that what happens if that fucks with your bottom line? You couldn't even honor that man's wishes and say, and not talk about a subject that he didn't want to talk about on. You said, fuck him, and you just said, it is what it is. I am who I am. Even Derek Chisora went in there and had some, he felt like, bro, like, why would you do that? We're here to promote a fight, and now the dude that I'm supposed to be promoting the fight with is stormed out of the fucking interview because you couldn't hold your tongue. It's childish, man. If we being real, he was out of pocket for that. Is Deontay Wilder out of pocket for talking this cheating shit? Yeah, he absolutely is. But homeboy was out of pocket for sitting there and bringing this shit up in his face after he told him, I don't want to talk about it. Now, did he want to talk about it because he's not getting as much pushback here in America? And his anxiety spikes when they bring that subject up. Why? Because he knows that was some bullshit. So, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that over here. So yeah, man, it's the reason why he didn't want to talk about it over there, on UK soil. But at what point do you say, yo, all right, cool, I understand people's emotions, I understand people's triggers, so I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to ruffle feathers. So let me bite my tongue and work around this question right here, or find ways to manipulate it to manipulate him into bringing the situation up. Now there goes your door. There goes your door to walk through right there. It's opened up. Now we can address this issue. But that shit was weak to me, man. I'm not a fan of that. Respect people's mental space, but the thing is, I'm not opposed to Deontay Wilder getting asked those questions. I'm just opposed to him say, if I'm asking you not to ask me those questions, don't ask me those questions. Don't do that. But I'm not opposed to him being asked those questions. Once again, it's the ambiguity with me. I get both sides. I don't want to be asked those questions, but I want to ask you those questions because I am not a believer in the answers that you gave me. But respect people's, respect people's wishes. You dig? That's how I give it up. Oh, my nigga, is you turning or not? What you doing? But yeah, that's how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a fan of it, but I'm not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of the rhetoric that he's continued to propagate over the 5-6 years that he's been propagating it. But I'm also not a fan of you going against the nigga wishes and doing what it is that he asks you not to do just because you want to do it. I'm not a fan of that. That's some sucker shit. That's some sucker shit. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what this dude is. I just don't know why this dude just refuses to acknowledge the fact that, homie, you just lost the fight. That's just what it is. It's okay. Niggas lose every day, B. just accept the loss, because the loss is what it was. You don't got to do all the extra theatrics and shit like that, man. There's no need to talk about white supremacy because you lost to a white man. There's no need to talk about white privilege because it's a white man asking you these questions and it's, and it's triggering you. It's no need for that. There's no need for that. There's no need for that, man. Because you should have enough integrity attached to you to know when it's time to speak on racial relations. You're not Ali, and we're not under the same. America isn't as demonstrative as it was once upon a time on the outer, overtly. You dig? You got to be able to read in between the lines and pick up on the subtleties and shit for you to really catch on to the shit that's going on. Definitely. So Ali was living in a time where, bigotry and radical racists were a lot more boisterous in society, and they wasn't ostracized publicly for it. They don't have that same luxury today. So you will never be you'll never be seen in the same light as a Muhammad Ali. You're not as your oratory abilities isn't as prominent as a Muhammad Ali. I'm not saying stop talking about the struggle. I'm definitely not saying that, brother. But what I am saying is become a little bit more familiar with the struggle. Because Deontay Wilder, I think his what's the word I'm looking for? His understanding of it is very surface level. A lot of YouTube videos. I don't know if it's necessarily, literature that he's read. I don't think he may not have a library of Afro-American studies on a political spectrum, a social spectrum. I don't think he has that. And if he does, I don't know. Maybe he hasn't read them, and maybe he hasn't grasped the level of understanding necessary for you to be able to go out and speak to these issues eloquently. When someone gets to talk, you're white supreme, that's real childish and it's cringeworthy. That's like, dude, just. It's like, bro, you're killing me right now, my nigga. Just pump your brakes, get a little bit more versed on your game, a lot more understanding of the struggle up here as it pertains to us as black men and women in America, and then speak on it. But to just stamp shit white supremacy and white privilege because I don't want to. Why is it so hard for you to believe a black man? It's not that we don't want to believe you because you're black. It's because we don't want to believe you because you have yet to provide necessary evidence proving your claim. It's as simple as that. It's literally as simple as that, man. There's really nothing else to say about it, man. So, I'm not, like I said, I'm not opposed to Simon asking him those questions. I'm not opposed to any interviewer asking Deontay Wilder those types of questions. I'm just opposed to if he's telling you, don't ask me these questions, I don't want to talk about it, and you still step on his toes and impose that line of questioning to him. That's where I take issue with it, because I think that is very unfair. I think that's very disrespectful. I think that shit is morally corrupt, if we being real. If someone is asking you not to ask them something and you ask them anyway, that is highly disrespectful. And if we was in regular, man, I told you not to do. That's grounds of you getting your ass beat. And what baffles me is, man, when it comes to these athletes, it's not like these is basketball players or nothing like that, man. These are people who they're fighters. So naturally, their triggers are a lot higher and a lot more sensitive than the average athlete that you deal with. So why would you possibly subject yourself to getting your ass violently beat up just so you can get a line of questioning out there? When you ain't equipped to deal with whatever it is that they try. No, bro. No. You want to hide behind the law and everything. Some niggas don't give a fuck about the law. A fighter didn't, nah, man, you pissing me off, and naturally, like I get in the ring and I fight dudes who can potentially kill me. You're a journalist. You're a blogger. You're a podcaster. You're a sports writer. You have nothing to offer me physically if I take it there with you. So why are you putting yourself in a position where I have to act on my carnal behavior like I do with my contemporaries? People get that shit fucked up. The letter of the law. It's a dude named Real Tune. This is a little off, off subject or whatever. But it's a nigga named Real Tune who does a lot of like gang vlogs and shit like that. He's doing shit with the Hoovers in Texas, trying to get Texas Hoovers to come to an understanding of just their lack of knowledge and how off their politics are in Texas. And because of that, he's ruffling feathers. And when they tell him, you can't come back over here to the set over here no more and do no more vlogs, he turns to, I'm a tax-paying citizen. You want to go and abide by the law when you're dealing with you want to be a law-abiding citizen when you're talking to lawless niggas. These niggas is lawless. You talking about niggas with homicides under their gun, under their belt and everything. And you think you about to, I can go over there if I want to. They've killed niggas for doing that shit, for sliding through the turf. You're perceived as an enemy now. You think you got the law to hide behind? Nah, my nigga, stay your ass over there. This is equivalent to what a lot of these interviewers do, and these analysts and these journals and shit like that. You have the law on your side. You have the freedom, the right to free speech. All right, cool, okay, bet. But don't say shit when I react like I react with my fucking contemporaries and I wire your shit. Respect athletes and respect pugilists. Motherfuckers that use these and this and these and feet for a profession to earn a living to provide for their family, respect them. Because one day you're going to come across that nigga that don't give a fuck about none of that shit and it's just going to be off with your head, man. And that's all I got to say about it. I'll get with y'all later. Deuces.